We hope that you enjoy today's sermon by our pastoral staff at Christ Point Church. We also want you to know that if you have any questions, prayer requests, or need information on any of our ministry opportunities, you can email us at www.info@christpoint.church. We love you, and we are praying that this will be the best year yet. Welcome home.
But Lord, I want it done now. It's like, Lord, there's 8 billion people on this planet. I need to be number one right now. I need to be your primary focus right now, and I don't understand why you're not focusing on me. So, the mouths of the lions may not be shut in our timing, but they're lying. They're making up stories about me. They're lying. Do you realize? I'm just going to tell. It's been so many years ago. Nobody will know it. Nobody will know who it was. My daughter called me. I was working. I was in Coffee County working, running from job to job. Daddy, have you heard the rumor about you? I'm like, no, I haven't. She's like, well, the rumor is that you left Tina. And, I mean, right? Have you looked at me and you've looked at her? It's like you left Tina and that you bought a house in town and you started dating a young girl and you moved her in it. And she got pregnant. And I'm like, and I just laughed. She goes, what are you going to do about this? I said, nothing. She said, why? Why not? I said, because none of it's true. I can't chase down these things. I said, anybody that knows me knows that, I mean, I'm not speaking for Dee. She can leave me, but I ain't leaving her. So that ain't happening. You know, so you know what? I'm not after some young girl. I'm not after. And it ended up, I called her back and I said, Amy, I figured out some of the truth. See, there's always some basis for truth. I mean, some basis of truth to every falsehood. I said, I found, I've just thought about it. I said, I know the story now. She said, what? I said, I bought a house in town. You moved in it. You're the young girl. You moved in it. And I said, at the time my brother was going through a divorce and was dating a younger woman. And I'm like, see, you can take two entities and put them together, make any story that you want. And she's like, well, do you know who said that? I said, don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. Well, so-and-so said it. I said, nobody's going to believe them. Right. You're not going to chase it down? No, I could care less. Because it is absolutely not believable. So, why does God not just strike people dead? I mean, I've even prayed, look, Lord, what are you going to do? And then God's like, me strike them dead. Well, no. Jail would be good. But no, I'm not saying that, Lord. I mean, it's like, okay. I don't. So anyway, the attackers, it's never in our timing. But God's timing will prevail. God's timing will prevail. And normally, the attackers that we're talking about here, the attackers of Daniel's day, the attackers that same spirit that is upon the Christian, the believer today, the same one, they're probably miserable. They're probably already getting theirs. You say, well, I want them to get theirs. Well, they are probably already getting theirs. And you know what's so sad? It is so sad that they have to go to that place. It's so sad that these three guys, including Daniel, these other two guys couldn't just be honest. It's not like you're one of the peasants. You're one of the upper echelon of the three, and you can't be honest. Daniel's just calling you out, that's all. See, the attackers are against our Christian witness, against our influence. The attack is against our influence, against our good name. Maybe they're telling lies. So let me give you a tip. 99.9% of the time they are telling lies. It's not true. So, Band-Aid number 3. Influence is deadly. Influence is deadly. Godly influence is a death sentence to the enemy's game plan. Godly influence is a death sentence to the enemy's game plan. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care how loudly they shout. I don't care how much they manipulate. I don't care how much those lines want to attack. the influence is more powerful. The influence has way more power. False accusations strategically placed are intended to kill. So kill. These are stalking tactics perfected by the lion. If you kill the influence, the passion will soon die. So all I have to do is kill the influence. I don't have to, this is the mindset of the enemy. Lion attack through the people, whoever it is. We all have them in our lives. Because I'm just going to be honest with you, not everybody that walks down, not everybody in the aisles at Walmart are Christians. They're not all believers. They're not all looking out for you. Trust me, I know it. I know it. We used to get kind of kicked, back in the youth group days. Do you realize what those kids did? Do you realize not every kid in our youth group is saved? Do you realize that we want them all? We don't care where they come from. Do you realize that some of them probably should be in juvie right now, but they're not. They're with us, and we're going to love them. Guy about my size. Well, he wasn't hardly my size. He's probably pretty thick. We were at a concert, and one guy's about this big. I mean, just big. Small. The small, he bought 3 shirts, all smalls. Comes to me and says, somebody stole my shirts. Next day we go out, dude's wearing one, his belly's hanging out the bottom of it. I'm like, where'd you get that shirt I bought? I said, of course, back then there's no receipts. I said, you know what? I went back, I said, here, we're going to go buy you your 3 shirts back. And if he can live with it, because we know he stole them. Why would you buy 3 shirts that you have a good 3 inches of your belly showing at the bottom? Why would you do that? Because your other shirts didn't look like that. But we went and bought them back because you know what? Maybe this kid's going to learn something. And we sat down, we called him on it, but we couldn't prove it, so we let him know where we stood. But godly influence is a death sentence. See, these individuals went hard after Daniel. They went hard after him to kill his influence over the king. Man, we have got to, because the king believes what Daniel says, because Daniel has a spirit of the Lord on him that the king is drawn to. And we've got to kill that influence. If we can kill that influence, then nobody's going to believe what he says. I know it. So, Daniel's influence was a threat to their security. So, people will attack to protect their insecurity. I mean, think about it. I won't work hard to make my own way. I'll try to steal the work off of what you've done. Some, they will work hard to protect their insecurity. They'll water and cultivate their jealousy. And out of pride, they'll work hard out of pride. Lust for power. Because, see, power and control is the only thing that they can that they know. Because it's all they have. So, I mean, really and seriously, this is what you want in life? You just want the control to have little robots? I don't know. I don't get it. Band-aid number 4. Have the power, remove the power of prayer, and the threat will go away. Remove the power of prayer, the threat will go away. So, let's band-aid up. Going to hurt a little bit right here. Verse 10. Daniel knew the law. He knew what was handed down. He knew the punishment. He knew what was in store. He was close to the king. He loved the king, and the king loved him. But he chose to offend his king and his friend over offending God. That's tough. That's tough love. That's foul-weathered friends right there. Fair-weathered friends will tell you what they'll tell you what's not even true. Do I look good today? Sure. Yeah, you got your pajamas on, house shoes on. You look great. Ain't true. You didn't comb your hair. You didn't get the grease out of it. It's not true. So it's not true at all. But the foul-weather friends say, yeah, get back in your house and put you some clothes on, look like somebody. Take some pride in yourself. So Daniel knew this is what he did anyway. 3 times he went to his window, opened it so everybody could see him. Not so much that I'm just being defiant and rebellious, as much as it is I want nothing in between me and my God. Because remember, they were carried off. Some figures are 750 miles, most are 900 miles, and most are 1,700 miles by way that they had to go around the water's edges. So it was a 1,700 mile trek 900 miles straight across. Daniel's like, I don't want a window in place to block my voice to the Lord. This is what they thought. The Lord only dwelt in Jerusalem. And I was carried off from Jerusalem, so I'm still praying toward where Jerusalem is. So Daniel's window was open. He didn't hide anything. This is not his home anyway. I'm praying toward where the last place I ever knew the Lord to be was the temple. And that's where I'm praying. See, they didn't have the mentality that we do now. They didn't have the omniscience that we have now of the Lord. So to the Jew exiled in Babylon, it appeared that God had forsaken them. I mean, think about this. God allowed an entire army to march hundreds of miles away to come in and to attack us, carry us off, burn our walls in our city as we're walking off. God has forsaken us as far as they know. God sold them out as far as they know. God had forgotten them and would never be back again. So remember, he was ripped from his home, watched the city destroyed. It's 900 miles away, forced to forget his way of life, forced to learn a new culture, a new language, everything. And as far as he knew, God was a lifetime away and he'd never see him again. And still I pray to where the last place I saw God. I mean, I am still not going to forsake my relationship with my Lord no matter what. Well, he didn't do anything for you. You don't know what he's doing. All I know is I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. So, Band-Aid number 5. Band-Aids don't heal wounds. All they do is cover wounds or cover scars. The accusers thought they had buried their threat. I mean, think about this. We're going to nail the threat. All we got to do is get Daniel to the pit, throw him in it, and our worries are over. So, I mean, we've got to be strategic with this. Do you realize all the while that they're strategically building a case against Daniel, making accusations, tricking the government to do exactly what they want? All this time, Daniel's just praying. Upright before the Lord. So, the accusers thought they had buried their threat. They thought they had removed and killed the power of prayer. They thought Daniel would die in that hole that very night. Man, he's going to die. He's going to live about 5 minutes if he can live that long. So, people who accuse us, people who accuse you, they think you'll die and give up, because their thoughts are the thoughts that the father of lies is putting in them. So, the father of lies thinks that you'll give up. He thinks that you'll quit because the job's too hard, the journey's too hard, the accusations are too great. I can't deal with it anymore. This is too much. If I keep on, maybe I think they'll quit. Well, that's what he thinks. We got to make sure that we think how God thinks. So, remember, let's get real. Let me just ask you this question. Who's attacked you? Just ask this question. Who has attacked you? What scars are you covering? And what are you doing about it? Who's attacked you? What scars are we covering and what are we doing about it? Because we have one recourse, and that's to get up, go back to the window, and pray again. Attack. Get up, go back to the window, pray again. Attack. Get up, go back to the window, and pray again. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice as a believer, as a walker with the Lord, as a Christian called by the name of God. I've got this one focus on mine, and that is to keep on walking with Him. So, Band-Aid number 6, when the voices scream louder than you can pray. You know, sometimes it seems like, but their accusations, they're way louder than my prayers. So, I mean, Lord, I don't understand. Why are they getting by with all this? Why is it like this? When the voices are louder than the prayers, remember this. That's a lie. That is a lie. God is in this place, wherever you are, and whatever you're going through, and ain't nothing dead until God says it's dead. Concerning the task, this is what God says. You didn't choose the task for yourself. God chose the task for you. And together we are enough. So Daniel, you didn't choose to be here in Babylon. You didn't choose to get exiled away from your homeland. You didn't choose to be placed in leadership. You didn't choose to have any of this upon you. You didn't choose to, but you are placed as the number 2 voice in the entire land, the number 2 influencer in the entire land to reach masses of people. I chose you for this task, and together we are enough. Together, we got to stop thinking it all hinges on us. I'm going to let the Lord down. No, together we are enough. So, Band-Aid number 7. It's all a divine setup. Guys, it's all a divine setup. God is the closer of the lion's mouth. When we think it's all over, God has a plan. God has a plan. When the cave door's shut and the darkness is the only light we see, God has a plan. When it looks like the enemy has won, God has a plan. Trust me. It's all a divine setup. Band-Aid number 8. Even kings need a God. Even kings need a God. Let's break it down. After the decree, so we got Daniel's quickly earning a really close position with the king. The king is loving Daniel. Do you realize the anointing on you draws people? It's favor. The presence of the Lord in you is favor to people. People who don't even know the Lord, it is favor. So, breaking it down, after the decree is placed in the law, not even the king can change it. The king can't even change it. The king found out it was Daniel. He became very grieved and distressed, the word says, and he tried all day to free Daniel. But see, the decree had went down. Here's how it is. It's been laid down. Law's been laid down. King, you can't change it. He even tried to figure out a way to change it, but he couldn't. So the king sought God to rescue Daniel. Instead, the king got to a place to where I'm going to do what I've seen Daniel do. I'm going to fast all night long. I'm not going to party tonight. I'm not going to have a focus on me tonight. I'm going to go into a time of prayer and time of mourning and a time of focus, and I'm going to pray all night long. He sought God to rescue Daniel, and he fasted for Daniel all night long. So notice in verses 19 and 20. Then at the break of day, the king arose and he went in haste. Now this is that morning of, after he'd been thrown into the lions' den the night before, he made haste to the den of lions. Verse 20, and he came near to the den where Daniel was, and he cried out in a tone of anguish. The king declared to Daniel. You notice what he didn't do here, but I'm going to hit it in just a second. O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? Now let's back up to verse 16. Show you something. This is the conversation in verse 16 the night before. May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you. Now we go back to verse 20. Was your God, whom you serve so faithfully, was he able to do that? Was he able to rescue you? Notice 3 things. He calls upon a God that someone else knew. I'm calling upon a God that somebody else knows. I'm calling upon the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords that Daniel knows. I mean, this guy's calling upon the king. They had all kinds of idols they worshipped. There's a lot of people out there, guys. Let me just explain to you. There's a lot of guys out there that will call upon God because they've seen you walk out your faith. That's what they're going to do. They're going to call upon God because they've watched you walk out your faith. Number 2, before the den, the king calls Daniel a faithful servant of God. You are a faithful servant of God. After the lion encounter, he goes back and he cries out. He still calls him a servant of God. Not somebody who used to serve the Lord. Not past or dead. Not used to be. Not dead and gone. Notice he came with the same anticipation. The king, number 3, expected to see David alive, or he wouldn't have cried out to him. He expected to see Daniel, not David. I wrote Daniel. David, I love David. So he expected to see Daniel alive, or he wouldn't have cried out to him. The king expected because Daniel had proven his walk before him. In other words, king, I don't have to tell you anything. I don't have to convince you of anything. I have already been convincing enough before you. So all you have to do now is just believe in my God who's going to deliver me, and we're getting out of here. So God moved the immovable, made possible the impossible, heard the heart of a king that didn't even know him, shut the mouths of starving lions, and silenced the mouths of the accusers. Verse 22, Daniel, this is what Daniel said. God has delivered me, O king. God has delivered me because I am blameless before him. I'm blameless before you, and I've done no harm. I've done no harm. Daniel came out of that hole. His accusers went in the hole. Spoiler alert, they don't make it. So Daniel comes out, he's fine. Lions have no interest in him whatsoever. They go in, they're gone like that. Family, mothers, all that stuff, kids, everything went in with them. It's time to start ripping off some Band-Aids. Let me ask again. Who has attacked you? What scars are you trying to cover? And who are you going to let God do something about it? Every scar has a story. Stop focusing on the hurt and start focusing on the healer. Band-Aid number 9. You can't kill this line. You can't kill it. This is going to keep on, guys. This is a line that the mouth will not shut. As long as we are here where we are today, as long as we are living in this world we're living in today, we're going to have to face this line. And this is the one we can't kill. It's not the flesh. It's not pride. It's not fear. It's not doubt. It is literally the thing that is not in us. It's the thing that's outside of us. If we're not careful, we'll spend our time covering wounds instead of allowing wounds to heal. So remember, you can't kill this line. You can't outwit him. You can't out-cunning him. You can't outsmart him. You cannot think. You can't outrun him. We got to outfaith him. We've got to outfaith him. I want to before we land the plane. I want to show you something. Let's look at what happened to the guy who knew a guy that knew the Lord. See, sometimes we don't know the Lord, but we know, and some of us may be here right now. Some of us may have been here before. We all came to the Lord. We weren't born righteous. We weren't born a believer. We all fall short of the glory of God. So every one of us, we knew a guy who knew a guy who knew the Lord. So let me show you what happened to the guy who knew a guy who knew a guy who knew the Lord. So let's show you what it looks like. Verses 25 through 27. Then King Darius wrote. Now think about the impact of your walk, what it does for people, and what it can do for the land around us. Then King Darius wrote to all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. Peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree. I'm stamping it, putting my insignia on it. Can't be changed, even by me. I make a decree that in all my royal dominion, that's every land that we have conquered, every people we have exiled, every spot of land that we occupy, every sect of people, every belief, every nationality, every tongue, that all in my royal dominion people are to tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, making sure that we don't get confused because we have in that day they had multiple deities. So I'm going to make sure that you guys in the land know who I'm talking about. It is the God that Daniel serves. It is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It is the creator of the universe. It is the healer of our bodies and the forgiver of our sins. So, for he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He who has saved Daniel from the power of the lions. This is the God we will serve. Now you're talking about the entire world at the time. This was the most powerful nation in the entire world. And notice something. When you are the most powerful king in the entire world, and you have reign over everybody in the entire world, so to speak, for that time, you have the greatest influence in the entire world. And the enemy wants to kill the influence. So in other words, if I kill Daniel, Man, just that one thing is all I've got to succeed in. Daniel just has to have a few limbs eaten off. Is good enough. He has to come out of there at best with no legs and arms and scratches on his torso. And I will have won. But he's probably going to die. 99.9% chance that he's going to die. But if this doesn't happen, God gets to influence the king through Daniel and the entire land through the king. So, see how the enemy wants to kill the influence? Look what happens when one person walks out their faith. The God who used to be Daniel's God is now the God of the king, the God of the land, the God of the people, the God of the languages, and the God of the nationalities. All of them. All because one man was willing to offend the king rather than offend his God. I mean, this is the king that has the power to sentence you to death or free you from death. And king, I'm sorry, but I can't put you over my God. Crazy stuff right there. So, please stand with me. I want to show you this one example before we open the altar. Satan in the book of Job. If you're new to it, it's not Job, it's Job. In the book of Job, Satan wanted to destroy Job. Tried really hard to destroy Job. And there's a reason why. Because Job is the only person that God mentions in their little royal soiree where the devil showed up. Their account, their angelic meeting, and the devil shows up. Job's the only one that God mentions on the earth. The enemy wanted to kill Job because Job was the most influential person in the entire world at the time. The most influential person. He wanted him silenced because of his influence. Daniel's real lines wanted to silence his influence just like the enemy. The enemy's tactics are the same, guys. He's not changing tactics. He's not changing game plans. It's just working for him. Your lines will kill you, strictly to silence your influence. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for spending some time with us in service at Christ Point Church. And just wanting you to know that we love you guys and you are an important part of Christ Point Church. If you're disconnected or in another state or you want more updates, please visit us on our website. You can email us at info@christpoint.church. And if you want to know how to give, we have a text to give. You can see it flashing right now. Also, you can give on the app. A lot of people are asking about that. So we just want you to know that you are a vital and important part of Christ Point Church. Now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending some time with us online and on TV. We are real people, living real lives, serving a real God. Welcome home.